My cheating husband made me sign over my business to him. He had no idea it was part of my revenge plan. On our 5-year anniversary, I caught my husband cheating with my assistant. He later made me sign over my company to him during our divorce, and I did it without flinching. He thought he won. What he didn't know, he was walking straight into a trap I'd already set. Before we begin, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible true stories. Drop a comment below. What's the most shocking betrayal you've ever witnessed? Share your thoughts with our community. My name is Sarah, and at 34, I thought I had everything figured out. My marketing consulting firm, Madison Avenue Solutions, was thriving in downtown Chicago. My husband of 5 years, David, seemed like the perfect partner, charming, supportive, always bragging about his brilliant wife at dinner parties. Our anniversary was supposed to be special. I'd planned to surprise David at our favorite steakhouse, Morton's, with news that we'd just landed our biggest client yet. Instead, I got the surprise of my lifetime. I walked into our Lincoln Park townhouse that Tuesday evening, carrying champagne and wearing the red dress David loved. The house was eerily quiet. Then I heard it, laughter coming from upstairs. Female laughter that wasn't mine. My heart pounded as I climbed those stairs, each step feeling like walking toward my own execution. The bedroom door was slightly open, and what I saw through that crack destroyed 5 years of marriage in an instant. David was in bed with Jessica, my 26-year-old assistant. The woman I'd mentored, trusted with my business secrets, treated like a younger sister. They were so wrapped up in their betrayal that they didn't even notice me standing there, watching my entire world crumble. But here's what shocked me most: I didn't scream. I didn't cry. Instead, something cold and calculating settled over me like armor. In that moment, staring at my cheating husband and backstabbing assistant, I made a decision that would change everything. I quietly backed away, went downstairs, and opened that champagne. Not to celebrate, but to fuel what was about to become the most elaborate revenge plan of my life. What David and Jessica didn't know was that I'd suspected this toxic marriage was falling apart for months. And I'd already started preparing for war. The next morning, I acted like nothing happened. David kissed me goodbye, probably tasting lies on his lips, while I smiled and wished him a good day at his accounting firm. Jessica arrived at my office at 9 a.m. sharp, same as always, with her fake concern about my tired appearance. "Rough night, Sarah. You look stressed," she said, probably wondering if I'd discovered their affair. "Just thinking about business expansion," I replied, watching her squirm. "Actually, I need you to handle some special projects. Very confidential." Over the next 3 weeks, I played the role of the oblivious wife perfectly. I planned date nights with David, complimented Jessica's work, and even suggested we all grab drinks together. Watching them panic about being caught was almost entertaining. But behind the scenes, I was busy. Very busy. First, I contacted my lawyer, Rebecca Martinez, the best divorce attorney in Illinois. "I need to discuss asset protection," I told her, hypothetically speaking. Second, I hired a private investigator named Mike Thompson. Within days, I had photos, hotel receipts, text messages, enough evidence to bury David in any divorce proceeding. Third, and most importantly, I started restructuring my business. Madison Avenue Solutions had been profitable for 3 years, but what David didn't understand about business law was about to cost him everything. I created a subsidiary company, strategic marketing partners, and quietly began transferring our most valuable clients and assets. On paper, my original company still looked successful, but in reality, it was becoming an empty shell. The beautiful irony: Jessica was helping me do it, thinking she was just following standard business reorganization procedures. David had no idea that while he was planning his affair, I was planning his destruction. 3 weeks after discovering the affair, I decided it was time for the confrontation. I'd gathered enough evidence and set my plans in motion. Now I needed David to think he was winning. I chose a Friday night, knowing they probably had weekend plans together. When David came home, I was waiting in our living room with a glass of wine and a manila envelope. "We need to talk," I said, my voice trembling just enough to seem vulnerable. David's face went white. "Sarah, what's wrong?" I slid the photos across our coffee table, images of him and Jessica at the Palmer House Hotel, holding hands at Millennium Park, kissing outside her apartment. His world crumbled just like mine had weeks earlier. "How long?" I asked, letting tears flow. They were real tears, but not for the reasons he thought. "Sarah, I can explain." "How long, David?" 6 months, he whispered, unable to meet my eyes. 6 months. While I was building our life, he was destroying it. While I was working 16-hour days to grow my business, he was planning his escape with my employee. "I want a divorce," I said firmly. David's shock quickly turned to something uglier: greed. Fine, but don't think you're taking everything. I helped build that company too, remember? All those late nights you were working, I was supporting you, encouraging you. This was exactly what I'd been waiting for. David's true nature, finally showing itself. I deserve half of everything, Sarah. The house, your business, our savings. I gave up opportunities to support your career. I let him rant, let him reveal just how much he thought he deserved. By the end of that conversation, David had convinced himself that he was entitled to my life's work. Perfect. He was taking the bait exactly as I'd hoped. The divorce proceedings were brutal, just as I'd expected. David hired Thompson Associates, one of Chicago's most aggressive divorce law firms. They came at me like sharks, demanding forensic accounting of my business, claiming David was entitled to 50% of everything. Your Honor, David's lawyer argued, Mr. Coleman provided essential emotional and logistical support during the building of Madison Avenue Solutions. He sacrificed his own career advancement to help his wife succeed. It was all lies, of course. David had never sacrificed anything. But I sat there, looking defeated, letting Rebecca handle my defense with just enough fight to seem legitimate without winning. The most painful part was watching Jessica testify on David's behalf. She sat in that courtroom, swearing under oath that she'd witnessed David's invaluable contributions to my business success. The audacity was breathtaking. Ms. Mitchell, David's lawyer, said to Jessica, in your professional opinion, how integral was Mr. Coleman to the success of Madison Avenue Solutions? Extremely integral, Jessica lied smoothly. Sarah often mentioned how much she relied on David's business insights and emotional support. I wanted to laugh. David's business insights. The man who couldn't balance his own checkbook. But I played my part perfectly. I looked crushed, overwhelmed, like a woman who was losing everything she'd worked for. The judge seemed sympathetic, but the law was clear. Illinois was a no-fault divorce state, and marital assets were subject to division. After 3 months of legal warfare, the writing was on the wall. David was going to get a significant portion of my business, possibly even controlling interest. That's when I made the decision that shocked everyone in that courtroom. I agreed to give him everything. Your Honor, I said, standing up in the middle of the proceedings, I'd like to address the court. Rebecca looked at me with panic in her eyes. We'd rehearsed this moment, but she was still worried I might break character. I'm tired of fighting, I continued, my voice breaking just right. This divorce has consumed my life for months. David wants the business. Fine, he can have it. The courtroom went silent. David's lawyer looked confused. They'd been prepared for more legal battles, not complete capitulation. Sarah, you don't have to do this, Rebecca said, playing her part perfectly. Yes, I do, I replied. I built that company once. I can build another one. What I can't do is continue this toxic marriage and these endless legal battles. David was trying to hide his smile, but I could see the victory in his eyes. He thought he'd broken me, that he'd won the ultimate prize. Jessica, sitting in the gallery, looked equally pleased. I'll sign over Madison Avenue Solutions to David, I announced. Complete ownership, all assets, all client contracts, everything. In exchange, I want the house and my personal savings account. That's it. The judge was surprised by my sudden cooperation, but David's legal team jumped on it immediately. Within 2 hours, we had a settlement agreement drafted. Within a week, it was signed and notarized. David Coleman was now the proud owner of Madison Avenue Solutions, a marketing firm that on paper was worth $2.3 million and had 12 high-profile clients. What he didn't know was that Madison Avenue Solutions was about to become the most expensive business lesson of his life. The trap was set. Now I just had to wait for him to step into it. David wasted no time taking over his company. Within days of our divorce being finalized, he fired 3 of my longest-serving employees and promoted Jessica to vice president. They moved into the corner office together, literally and figuratively. We're going to take this company to the next level, David announced to the remaining staff, as if he had any idea what that meant. The first crack in his confidence came 2 weeks later when Peterson Industries, our biggest client, terminated their contract. Then Chicago Financial Group followed suit. Within a month, 8 of our 12 major clients had jumped ship. David was panicking, calling emergency meetings, demanding explanations from the remaining staff. But here's what he didn't understand about the marketing business: it's built on relationships, trust, and expertise. 3 things he didn't have. What David also didn't know was that for the past 6 months, while planning my revenge, I'd been having quiet conversations with all my major clients. I'd explained that I was considering starting a new venture and asked if they'd be interested in following me. The response was unanimous. They wanted to work with Sarah Coleman, not some company that happened to have her name on it. So when Strategic Marketing Partners officially launched, the subsidiary I'd been quietly developing, those clients didn't hesitate to make the switch. They brought their million-dollar contracts, their referrals, and their loyalty with them. Meanwhile, David was left with a company name, an expensive office lease, and Jessica's questionable marketing skills. The business he thought was worth $2.3 million was hemorrhaging money faster than he could count it. But the real masterpiece of my revenge was yet to be revealed. David was about to learn that sometimes winning means losing everything. 6 months after our divorce, David called me for the first time since the proceedings ended. I was in my new office, a sleek space in downtown Chicago where Strategic Marketing Partners was thriving with 15 employees and $4 million in annual revenue. Sarah, his voice was broken, desperate. We need to talk. About what, David? We're divorced. We have nothing to discuss. The company is failing. I'm hemorrhaging money. The clients are gone, the employees quit, and I can't figure out what's happening. I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. That's unfortunate, I said coldly. But it's your company now. Your problem to solve. Please, Sarah, I know what I did was wrong. The affair, the divorce, taking your business, I was angry and stupid. But I'm drowning here. Can't we work something out? This was the moment I'd been waiting for. The moment when David realized that revenge isn't just about getting even, it's about getting justice. David, I said slowly, do you remember what you said during our divorce? That you deserved half of everything because you supported my career. Yes, but you were right about one thing. You did support my career. Every time you betrayed me, every lie you told, every moment you spent with Jessica while I was building something real, you were teaching me exactly who you were. And that education was invaluable. Sarah, please. Here's what you didn't understand about my business, David. Madison Avenue Solutions was never just a company name. It was my reputation, my relationships, my expertise. You can own the paperwork, but you can't own the person who built it. I could hear him breathing heavily on the other end of the line. The clients didn't leave because of coincidence, I continued. They left because they were following me. The employees didn't quit randomly, they quit because they knew you had no idea how to run a marketing firm. And Jessica, well, let's just say her marketing skills are about as authentic as her loyalty. The silence stretched between us before David finally spoke. You planned this. All of it. I planned to protect myself from a cheating husband and a toxic marriage. Everything else was just good business. David's company declared bankruptcy 3 months later. He lost everything, the business, his savings, even Jessica, who left him for someone with better financial prospects. Meanwhile, Strategic Marketing Partners continues to grow. I'm happier, more successful, and completely free from the weight of a marriage built on lies. Sometimes the best revenge isn't getting mad, it's getting smart. And sometimes, letting someone think they've won is the first step in showing them what losing really looks like.